Look, we all have family, right? It's in the contract of life, but let me tell you something. Sometimes those folks you call blood, they can be the ones drawing the poison. We're talking about toxic family dynamics. It's not always pretty, but we're gonna get real, get honest, and get you on the road to healing. We're talking about those patterns of behavior, those unspoken rules that leave you feeling drained, devalued, or straight up abused. And it's not just about screaming matches and dramatic blow-ups. It can be subtle passive-aggressive comments, constant criticism, guilt trips that would make a travel agent blush. But here's the thing, you don't have to live like this. Recognizing the problem is the first step. We're going to dive deep into the signs of a toxic family, the emotional baggage it leaves you carrying, and how you can start setting boundaries to protect yourself. Because let me tell you, you deserve respect, you deserve support, and you deserve a life free from toxicity. So, how do you know if your family is truly toxic? Well, it's not like they hand out report cards, but there are some telltale signs. First off, communication or lack thereof. Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells, afraid to say or do the wrong thing? Is there constant conflict, or is everyone pretending everything is hunky-dory when it's clearly not? That's a big red flag. Control is another biggie. Toxic families, they love control. They want to dictate your choices, your relationships, even your thoughts. They use guilt, manipulation, you name it, to get their way. And then there's the blame game. In a toxic family, someone is always the scapegoat, the black sheep. They're the ones who are always wrong, always causing problems, even when it's clear as day they're not. Respect? Forget about it. Toxic families thrive on disrespect. They put each other down, they invalidate each other's feelings, and they offer about as much support as a screen door on a submarine. Now listen, if any of this is ringing a bell, don't panic. It doesn't mean your family is all bad, and it certainly doesn't mean you're doomed. It just means it's time to face the music and start making some changes. Because here's the deal, you can't control other people's behavior. You can't change your parents, your siblings, your aunts, uncles, or whoever else is causing the chaos. But you can control how you react, you can control your own boundaries, and you can control whether or not you choose to stay in that environment. Toxic families, they leave scars. Emotional scars that can run deep and affect every area of your life. You might struggle with low self-esteem, constantly doubting yourself because you've been told you're not good enough for so long. Anxiety might be your constant companion, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Relationships, they can be a minefield. You might find yourself repeating the same unhealthy patterns you learned in your family, or you might push people away because you're terrified of getting hurt. And then there's the anger, the resentment, the bitterness. It festers inside you, eating away at your happiness. You might find yourself lashing out at others, or you might turn that anger inward, blaming yourself for everything. Look, it's not your fault. You didn't choose to be born into a toxic family, but you do have a choice in how you deal with the aftermath. You can keep letting the past control your present and your future, or you can choose to heal. You can choose to break free from the cycle of toxicity and create a life filled with healthy, loving relationships. It won't be easy. Healing from emotional wounds takes time. It takes work and it takes courage. But it's possible, and you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be free. Chapter 3. Building your fortress. Setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is like building a fortress around your heart and mind. It's about protecting yourself from further hurt and creating a safe space for healing to begin. Now, setting boundaries with toxic family members, it's not about being mean or cutting them off completely. It's about deciding what you will and will not tolerate. It's about saying, you know what? I'm not going to engage in that conversation anymore. Or, I'm not going to put up with being treated that way. Start small. If your family is used to you always saying yes, start saying no to things you don't want to do. If they interrupt you constantly, politely, but firmly tell them you're not finished speaking. And here's the thing about boundaries, you have to enforce them. If someone crosses a boundary, you have to be willing to follow through with consequences. That might mean ending the conversation, leaving the room, or even limiting contact for a while. It's not about punishing them, it's about protecting yourself. Remember, setting boundaries is a sign of self-respect. It's about taking control of your own life and your own well-being. Chapter 4. You don't have to go it alone. Seeking help. Listen, dealing with a toxic family, it's tough stuff. You don't have to go it alone. In fact, I highly recommend you don't. A therapist who specializes in family dynamics, They can be your secret weapon. They can help you understand the patterns in your family, develop strategies for setting boundaries, and work through all those bottled-up emotions. Support groups are another great resource. It's amazing how much healing can happen when you connect with others who truly understand what you're going through. You realize you're not alone, and you can learn from each other's experiences. And don't forget about self-care. When you're surrounded by toxicity, it's easy to neglect your own needs. But taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually is crucial. Exercise, eat healthy, get enough sleep. Do things that bring you joy, whether it's reading, spending time in nature, or listening to music. Remember, healing is not a destination, it's a journey. There will be good days and bad days. But with the right support, you can break free from the cycle of toxicity and create a life filled with love, peace, and joy. Chapter 5. Freedom is possible, real people, real hope. Now I know all of this might sound daunting, but let me tell you something. It's possible to break free from toxic family dynamics and create a life you love. I've seen it happen time and time again. I've had guests on my stage, people who walked through fire to get to a better place. They set boundaries, they sought help, and they never gave up on themselves. One woman, I'll never forget her, she finally cut off contact with her emotionally abusive mother. It was the hardest thing she ever did, but it was also the most liberating. She finally allowed herself to be happy. Another guest, he finally learned to say no to his controlling father. He stopped letting his dad dictate his career choices, his relationships, his entire life, and you know what? He's happier and more successful than ever. These stories, they give me hope. They remind me that change is possible, even when it seems impossible. So if you're struggling with a toxic family, please know that you're not alone. There is hope, there is help, and you deserve to be happy. We covered a lot of ground today, but the takeaway is this. Toxic families, they can leave you feeling trapped, but you are not powerless. Recognizing the signs, understanding the impact, and taking steps to protect yourself, that's where the power lies. Setting boundaries, seeking professional help, prioritizing self-care, these are not selfish acts, they're lifelines. And remember those stories of hope, those folks who took back their lives? You have that same strength within you. If you're ready to start your journey toward healing, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content. And remember, you're not alone in this. Now go out there and create the life you deserve.